Okay, we're looking at the left top drive or main lift cylinder, looking down the shaft over here. A few things we're seeing. One is the upper mounting pin for the main lift cylinder. Then down here, oops, I'm getting my hand in the way of the camera here. Down here you see on the inside, on the right hand of your screen, a nut, and on the outside a bolt. These are 18 millimeters. Actually, the bolt turns into a pin that pushes into the outside of the main lift cylinder housing and is actually the mounting pin, and this nut is securing the bolt in place. What you need to do is turn the nut counterclockwise as far as you can, that may be just a half a turn, then turn the mounting bolt counterclockwise the same amount, then repeat and repeat and repeat until this bolt has pulled out far enough out of this main lift cylinder housing that you can get the main lift cylinder free. It'll make sense to you in a moment when you see it out of the car and how this pin holds it in place. The again, bolt and nut size are 18 millimeters. It's hard to find an 18 millimeter wrench these days, so 3/4 inch will do, which 3/4 is 18.75 millimeter, or a 19 millimeter. They have a little more play, but you can still do it. So we remove the upper mounting pin first. Golden rule is always to retract the shaft before you work around the cylinder, and here you see how this colored pin clips onto the clevis at the end of the shaft. Take the pin out, carefully move the shaft off the upper mounting, and we want to avoid moving down too far and hitting sharp metal pieces down here. So at this point, golden rule, push the shaft in. It's going to take a little bit because you're working against the pressure relief valve of the pump. We just keep pushing. Well, imagine I had pushed it in all the way. Don't want to make you wait here. And I have, as you can see, already loosened the nut down there. We need to keep loosening it until we can back out the pin far enough to pull the main lift cylinder off. I'll show you in a moment. Now we're looking at the top of the soft top mounting frame, which actually this is called the main bearing. The whole soft top frame is bolted to the car's chassis with just 3 bolts on each side. 1, 2, 3, each one of them 13 millimeter hex head. We have used a marker to mark the exact position of this main bearing on the car's chassis, so that when we put it back on, there is not going to be any alignment needed on the top. So all we do now is unbolt these 3 bolts on each side, and then we can lift the top out. Lifting the top out makes it a little bit easier also to get access to the bolts on the main lift cylinders, but as I said before, it's not necessary to take the top frame out just for the main lifts. Here we have the soft top frame lifted up from its mounting in the rear. We have put a 2x4 under the forward corner of the soft top frame, meaning under the forward part of the main bearing. And important, we've put some padding on top of the windshield header, because the top moves around a little bit on the windshield header here, and we don't want to scratch anything up. We went with heavy duty padding here. Bunch of towels will do the trick as well. The 2x4 was something that was handy, that allowed us to get the job done quickly. Ideally, if it was a 3/4 inch taller yet, then the job would be even easier. But instead of making just the right side rest, we'll lift the top up a tad any moment we need to. it'll make sense to you when you work on it. Once you get how things are moving around here, it doesn't look so scary anymore. The other thing to point out is that there's a Bowden cable that moves the rear flaps, and that cable, oops, is right here. This is a ball socket that you want to pop off this ball over here, otherwise the movement of the soft top frame may be a little bit too restricted. You can do this without taking the Bowden cable off, but better safe than sorry. So let's show you the main lift cylinder first. Over here we have taken it out of its mounting position. You can see that in the upper part of the main lift cylinder housing there are two holes. The outer hole pushes against a pin in the soft top frame, and the inner hole gets secured by this bolt that we showed you earlier, where we first had to back out the nuts, then keep pulling the bolt out. Getting this screw out is a lot easier. Soft top frame lifted up a little bit. Here is how it would normally be, and now it's a lot easier to get our two 19mm wrenches inside, outside and inside here, and just keep moving them against each other until this bolt has separated far enough to just pull the main lift cylinder out. What's left to be done on this main lift cylinder, I don't think I need to show you. It's trivial, same as the tonneau cover lift cylinder. We pull out these retaining clips on the top and on the bottom. Here's the top line for the main lift cylinder. Left side is number 63, bottom line is number 72. We only take these pins out once the cylinder is loose. Now we take the pins, pull out the hoses, put the hoses into the nice new rebuilt cylinder, and put the pins back on the clips, and we can then reinsert this main lift cylinder